I know I've gone on a little bit about the Ron case, but there's been a little bit of a development. This is one of the people that I've been talking to, his friend, Ashley, and also I've been talking to his aunt. But look what she sent me today.
So I have a little bit of news for you. I'm going to send you what I seen this morning where they said that they were acquitted. Like basically they were in the right for shooting him. But somebody brought it to their attention other than me on YouTube, and this is the response that we got.
There now is a couple of articles. One looks like it's in the newspaper, or they look like they're in newspapers, but they're articles on the internet saying that the police didn't do things properly. So Ashley sent me these, and then I found these on the internet all talking about Ron. So let's just have a look at them. So this is just in the order that they came from her. It says, a screenshot from the body camera footage of the deputy who shot 55-year-old Ronald Belia from 54 yards away, more than half the length of a football field, without announcing that they were there. Greenville newly released body camera footage shows a Greenville County Sheriff's deputy shoot a man 13 times from half a football field length away without calling out he or another deputy were on the scene. It's quite important because the sheriff said that they told Ron they were there and to put his gun down, and they didn't. This is why we wait a solid 45 days for the investigation to be thoroughly conducted, spokesman Lieutenant Ryan Flood told the newspaper. Any statement provided on the scene of a crime is given with the best information received at the time. Clips of the body camera footage were made public on the 30th of July under the Sheriff's Office's community briefing policy, which calls for publishing curated accounts of major incidents where a deputy shot someone 45 days after they occur. Body camera footage isn't subject to public records laws in South Carolina. Somebody put, why not? If they've got cameras on and they're recording it, how can you not use their footage? Though law enforcement agencies can choose to release all or part. Around 8 p.m. on the 15th of June, a 911 call comes from the Behilia home, blah blah blah, where he's arguing with what sounded, it's a bit over the place, it's not following, but we will carry on because I've got a few more of them. But these are the remarks. Sheriff's previous remarks by saying information relayed on scene is fluid and evolves as the investigation unfolds. This is why we wait 45 days. Rah, rah, rah. So let's go on to the next one. Sheriff Hobart Lewis, who needs to resign, had said in a media briefing after the shooting that deputies challenged 55-year-old Roland Behilia to drop his gun and started firing into his home. Lewis said Behilia pointed his gun at the deputies and they had to shoot him. Behilia died as a result of the shooting, but the body camera footage shows Behilia never pointed his gun at the deputies, nor did they challenge him or even announce they were there. See, he was murdered. They murdered him. And I am glad, this one's on Reddit, but I am glad that people are making a few posts about it. Body cam video contradicts sheriff's initial claims after deputy shoots, kills man at his house. Newly released body camera footage shows a Greenville County Sheriff deputy shoot a man 13 times from half a football field length away without calling out that he or another deputy were on the scene. Sheriff Hobart Lewis had said in a media briefing after the shooting that the deputies challenged 55-year-old Ronald Behilia to drop the gun and stop into his home. Lewis said Behilia pointed his gun at the deputies and they had to shoot him. Behilia died as the result of the shooting. Body camera footage isn't subject to public records laws in South Carolina, though law enforcement agencies can choose to release all or parts. That's wild to me. A public servant filming their interactions with the public, but the footage isn't public record. And then obviously there's a couple of comments there. This should absolutely be a law change. This is wild. That's banana and needs to change. And then that's wild to me. This is why it's important for people to film their interactions as well. Police will be frequently say, "It's all good, we're recording," to try to get people to stop filming. That's very interesting, isn't it? On to the next one. Yeah. And this one says, down there, throwaway, "A crooked-ass sheriff in charge of a crooked-ass sheriff's department not telling the truth. No way." To the next one. See, and this is the Post and Courier, which is a newspaper. Greenville, newly released body camera footage shows a Greenville County Sheriff's deputy shoot a man 13 times from half a football field length away without calling out that he or another deputy were on the scene. Sheriff Hobart Lewis had said in a media briefing after the shooting that all deputies challenged 55-year-old Ronald Bahia to drop his gun and stop firing into his home. Lewis said Bahia pointed his gun at the deputies and they had to shoot him, but he died obviously at the scene. He said in the briefing that it's challenged, but the camera footage shows Bahia never pointed his gun at the deputies, nor did they challenge him or even announce they were there. That is cold-blooded murder. Because in that, what do you call him? The policeman's mind, he's thinking, oh, there's a hostage in that house. He's shooting. I've got to kill him, without checking anything. And obviously, I'm going to talk about 3 more things again. Anyway, that's what that says. And another bit. Lewis declined to answer questions from the Post and Courier, instead deferring to the spokesman, who walked back to the sheriff's previous remarks by saying, "Information relayed on this scene is fluid and evolves as the investigation unfolds." But he says in that footage that police officer is exonerated. But he can't be, and neither can the sheriff. So, clips of the book on the 30th, YouTube, blah blah, which calls for publishing curated major accounts. I mean, it is the same report as the other one. But there you go. There's a few more pictures of information. I mean, it's sort of repeating the same thing. They said that Ron was arguing with someone, but they didn't check. There was no one else there. The deputy who has been identified drove to Billy's house and parked down the road, lights off, and slowly approached from the side. 7 gunshots rang out from inside the home. The deputy screamed and ran back behind the cover of a parked truck, which we saw in the video. Seconds later, a second deputy arrived on the scene, drew his duty rifle and aimed it towards the house. Well, aimed it at Ron. "Just hold what you've got," the first deputy said. The second deputy in the video, they were both, "Just hold what you've got." They were both standing behind or near the truck for cover. Bahia walked out, rifle in hand, did he, and fired into the house. The second deputy fired at Bahia from 54 yards away, 13 seconds after arriving on the scene. So how could he grasp what's going on? A passing car drives by where Bahia is standing just feet from the road, with 13 shots ran out. And that was my next point. In the video, you can see, I'm sure there's 2, if there's probably more, but I definitely saw 2 cars driving past inches away from where they shot Ron. So that police officer turned up, did not look at the whole situation, didn't shut the road off so that nobody could come down the road, just got his gun and fired it at Ron without asking any questions. That's what's sort of saying what's happening. And then he says, "We had no idea if we needed to push up." Yeah, right. You murdered Ron. So they were at the house while Ron is lying on the ground. Nobody else was found. Bahia was firing at anybody, and it's unclear why he was firing in the first place. He was pronounced dead at the scene. So His aunt said he didn't have that gun. It's like a semi-automatic gun. It's quite big, like a kind of gun. So that's there, but it's not at Ron's feet. It's over there. So that's one thing. They did not secure the road. They never found out what was really happening, and they reacted rather than finding out what was happening. I'm sorry, they're out of control. That's what I see. In the media briefing after shooting, Lewis said Bahia had turned towards the deputies with his rifle after they challenged him to drop it. The body footage shows that never happened. It never happened. He was cold-blooded murdered. A little bit more information there which you can stop and read. I think that's disgusting that the sheriff is going to protect that officer when he knows that he did not stop Ron or ask. No one said anything to him. They just shot him. So they didn't secure the road. They didn't check what was happening. The guy just gets his gun out and shoots him 13 times in cold blood. That's what I see. That officer should be arrested. And the sheriff should resign for lying, because he said that it happened in a certain way and it didn't. Also, if they are recording the phone calls, how come we hear Ron talking before the responder has picked the phone up? So you hear Ron talking, it ringing, and then the responder. That cannot be true. That piece of footage is a lie, because they will only be able, if they are recording, they will only get Ron from the moment that phone is picked up. So that's a lie. In the video yesterday, I told you that this witness heard all this because she lives up the road from Ron, but not right next to him. And she heard all this shooting happening in her garden. She heard 6 bullets. So what were they firing at there if Ron is dead on his drive? I don't particularly like looking at all this because it's my friend who died. But when you look at that body lying there when she goes up on the other video, it's on yesterday's one, you cannot see that. I mean, he's been shot 13 times. You do not see blood on him at all. I don't know. I don't really want to see dead Ron. I don't even know if that looks like a human, to be honest. Look at the arms. But do you see any blood whatsoever? He's been annihilated with 13 bullets. Personally, when doing that report about Ron's death, how can you not mention that he's dead on the ground and that they're still firing? You can clearly hear that there are loads of other shots going off. You definitely see a car driving past. Actually, maybe there's only one, but that class, they could have killed that person. And you can hear police, you can hear the sirens going off. How can they be happy with this at all? I am so disgusted they killed my friend.
I think there's a sound like a female. I think there's a sound like a female.
So she's run away from him because he's firing, hidden behind the van. The other guy turns up, shoots him dead. Then they move forward. They're chit-chattering away with poor dead Ron there, not even recognising that they've murdered someone. And they're not joking exactly, but the conversation's a bit weird. And there's gunfire shots happening. There's gunshots happening. Ron is dead on the floor, but they're still firing. What the hell happened this day? all I can see is that this police unit are covering up, murdering Ron for nothing. We're never going to get him back. It's disgusting. Not only do the sheriff and that police officer need to resign, they need to be prosecuted. The whole of this police unit, well, what I've watched videos, they are completely out of control. Personally, when doing that report about Ron's death, how can you not mention that he's dead on the ground and that they're still firing? You can clearly hear that there are loads of other shots going off. You definitely see a car driving past. Actually, maybe there's only one, but that class, they could have killed that person. And you can hear police, you can hear the sirens going off. How can they be happy with this at all? I am so disgusted they killed my friend.
I think there's a sound like a female. I think there's a sound like a female.